this week another random collection of videos. I'm still just throwing these things together. My editing skills aren't what they might be. I've had to cut out a few bits where I've repeated myself and cobble a few bits together with a few photos, but at least we're putting something out. So thank you so much if you do watch them, and if you could take the time to just give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. It will just really help me to get going, and I promise I'll try and make better videos. Here's the end of March. So this is Diva. We haven't really met Diva before, have we? Diva the pony. She's a draft pony. I haven't worked her for some time, but you will see her working this summer, which is exciting. What we've done today is just bring her fence in a bit. She had quite a big field for most of the winter, but the grass is definitely growing, and that means that a little pony like Diva, with little pony feet like Diva, actually needs less grass. Her electric tape billowing in the wind, it was quite an interesting job to move it, but she's now got this little section here. We'll move her around quite frequently, but we'll keep her on quite short rations for the whole of spring and summer, because we don't want her to get laminitis, which is a disease that ponies can get in their feet if they eat too much. So that's Diva. So really not sure what to call this weather. This is a sort of drizzle with sunshine. It's really quite cold, and we've just about had everything this week, but this is quite an interesting one, isn't it? Don't you think? This is quite an interesting one. I am looking for the rainbow. Well, a few minutes later, and I have found the rainbow. I'm not quite sure what you can see, because I can't see what I can see, but for once the pot of gold is very definitely in the middle of our hayfield, and there might even be another pot of gold in the arable field next to us. What do you think? But how exciting. So maybe sometime I shall have to investigate the pot of gold. But look at that amazing rainbow, God's promise. Isn't it beautiful? So, a bit of a miserable day today, but as you can see from behind me just here, after some hard work by ourselves and by Tilly, our volunteer, the beds are really looking in shape. I do have a greenhouse update for you, but I fear it's a bit of a disaster movie. So I've got a bit of a pepper and tomato crisis. These few plants in here yesterday, I moved them around a bit, and for a few, I mean literally minutes, they were on the staging on the opposite side without their fleece on. We've got a thermometer in the greenhouse which gives us, in the morning before we reset it, it gives us the highest and the lowest, and then after we reset it, it gives us the indoor outdoor. So they all checked that this morning, and this greenhouse has not been below 6 degrees with the heater on, but to me they look like the frost's got them. But my only real possible, if that's not true, is that the drafts, the winds in here, got them yesterday when I moved them onto the bench for like 5 minutes in the sunshine. I'm now so troubled by them. I honestly feel like the temperature feels more stable in my polytunnel, and I think I'm going to move these onto shelving in the polytunnel and see if they will survive, because it's a bit of a disaster if they don't. It's kind of important. So in the polytunnel, things are all going well. Lots of things are now going. Our cutting salad is going well. The only problems we have had, and you can see down here, if I can just here, a mouse trap, is Mrs. Mouse has helped herself to quite a few of our pea and bean seeds, and in desperation, when she ran out of pea and bean seeds, she started helping herself to cabbage seeds and coriander seeds, and we can't really have that. So we do have every pest known to man in this garden, and in the polytunnel the mice are going a bit mental. So just outside the polytunnel, shelves of plants that are going to be planted out, put out in beds and just covered with a layer of fleece. Spinach, radish, what else is there? Some lettuces, some broad beans, lots of things. And I had a brief chat with the great Mr. Charles Dowding on Instagram the other day, and I have been carefully hardening off these little seedlings to pop them out in the beds. And Charles said, no, don't bother, straight out of the greenhouse into the beds, cover them with a bit of fleece, no worries, saves you a lot of time and hassle. So who am I to argue? These will all be going out on their first available leaf, root or whatever day. And still in the old garden, I didn't film Tilly doing this. I did take a nice picture, which I will pop in. But we are moving on now with creating the new beds. As you can see, what we've done is layer the cardboard. Thank you, Mr. Lidl. Nearly all the cardboard has come from Lidl's. They've been very, very good. And then putting 15 centimetres of compost on top, and that's all from lovely Hills Waste. Thank you, Mr. Hills Waste. You will see we have not, I'm ashamed to say, had taken the time to take the tape off the boxes. It takes a lot of time to take that tape off the boxes. However, as it gets wet and settles in, it does emerge and you end up picking it out of your beds, which sounds a bit messy but is actually easier than trying to peel it all off a dry box. So that tape will get extracted later. But for the time being, look at that fabulous bed done by our Tilly on the Wednesday, on the day that Tilly comes. And the rest of them, as you can see, are coming good and very soon to be filled with lovely goodies for the CSA box. I don't know about you, but planting at this time of year is just, sowing seeds is massive. We have to do hundreds, and I found myself very short. I try to reuse all my plastic cell trays as much as I possibly can. I do have soil blockers, I've tried peat pots, but in the end you have to use some plastic, and all we can do is try and reuse it as much as we can until better solutions come out. Lovely Hugh on Hugh's Nursery was talking recently about some much more robust cell trays and things that you can get. They cost much more money, but they last much longer, so environmentally they're much better. And he gave a link to the site, which I can't remember, but I will pop a note in somewhere. I did have a look. The trouble that we find with what we do is we're neither t'other nor which. We're not big enough to get the immense discounts of the huge companies, but we're too big to buy the small quantities that your allotmenter or gardener buys. And the ones that Hugh was talking about are just too expensive for us to buy in the quantities that we need them. So I've compromised and I've got these. I've bought quite a bulk amount of these. They are horticultural quality. They're not the really flimsy ones you buy in the garden centres, and I'm going to have to work really hard to make sure that I look after them and that they do several years, and hope and pray that in several years time someone's come up with a better solution. I have actually bought also the pop-out tray for this, which is the tray where you pop out all your seedlings at once. I think getting them out is very often what does the damage, so I invested in a push-out tray, and we'll see how these go. These are 84s. Lots of my calculations have been done in 60s, 80s, 100s, 120s. So I've just made up my mind that I'm just going to do the closest multiple of 84 that there is, because I couldn't afford to get lots and lots of different sizes. So we'll see how it goes. Those are the ones we're going to use this season, and we're just going to see if we can keep them as long as we possibly can. So I'm just bringing you with me over to the garden. Oh, ground. It's so wet. We've got this little bridge thing to walk on because it's so wet. The wind that we had this week took a lot of the black plastic off the new garden, but we are underway. I need to organise some volunteer days to get more of this done. It's a slow process because we don't use fossil fuels at all if we can help it. We don't use big machinery, and we're on a tight budget because we want to be a really affordable community project for everybody. So I've looked this week at some new projects that are booming ahead, but try not to be too cast down by that. And this week Tilly's back, and this time planting spinach out in one of the raised beds in the old garden. Yay Tilly, well done. So this morning Tilly and I got in all this spinach under this cover here, and just now I've just put in all this broccoli. I'm a bit cross because it should all be under fleece, not under Enviromesh, but my fleece has not arrived. I won't say where it's ordered from, but it's not come yet, and I've just checked the order on their website and it says processing. Really? That was days ago. Because I've had to use Enviromesh, that means I've also had to put hoops under, because the Enviromesh is quite heavy, whereas you can just sit fleece on. You can't do that with Enviromesh. So, however, that's the first two probably major beds in. So spinach and broccoli in the ground. Just hope it's not too cold until my fleece turns up.